Now it is the 8 o'clock hour. I do have a guest to bring on. He is the writer of one of my favorite indies of last year out of Scout Comics. I read this book. I enjoyed this book. I bought multiple copies of this book, and I went out. I got one of the variants from the Scout website. And he was able to join us this morning, Mr. Michael Gordon. How you doing?
Hi, Perry. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. So you're joined with me and my co-host TK.
Hi, TK.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
I'm excellent. Happy to be here.
Heck yeah. Now we have a little bit of a time zone difference, but I guess our early morning show works out perfect for you.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys have got the short end of the stick there.
Yeah.
It's 1 o'clock here, so I've had my lunch, I've had my coffee, everything's fine.
Oh, yeah. Well, good afternoon then to you.
Good morning to you.
So you wrote out of Scout Comics last year, Red Winter, which it's kind of like criminal, like a very gritty crime story with Russian mafia. And we got this like ex-New York detective, which was awesome. The artwork inside was dope. I enjoyed it. It was a quick read, a few issues, and now we are coming back for Red Winter Fallout.
We are.
That is currently in Kickstarter. The links for everything is in the description down below. If you want to check out over on Scout Comics, you could get issues 1 through 4, either in issue to issue, back issue format, or you could get the digital versions. And then the Kickstarter link if you want to go ahead and check that out. Now, the Kickstarter Red Winter Fallout, I didn't do too much research into this because I wanted to get your point of view on this. Now, is this taking place after this story or before?
Yeah, Red Winter Fallout takes place after Red Winter, and it's one of those sequels that picks up literally minutes after the first one ends. So I don't really want to spoil the ending of the first one so much, but all I'll say is there's one of the characters, he sort of runs off into the night, and that's the way the story ends, and you think, oh, I wonder what happens to that guy. But then if you really start to think about it, you think, well, he's still in a terrible situation.
Horrible situation.
Yeah.
He's still stuck in this city. He's still got basically, different mobsters are after him. Well, what does happen to him from then on? So that's Joseph Winter is who this is happening to. So yeah, Fallout picks up just minutes after that. And if the first series was, like you're saying, very criminal-esque, sort of a gritty crime noir story with Joseph's father, Eli Winter was the protagonist. Then the second story, Fallout, is more of like a chase thriller. So it's just basically Joseph needs to get out of the city alive, and everything in the city is trying to kill him. So that's the main thrust of the sequel.
I gotta say, the one thing I really enjoyed about seeing so Joseph is a child, and then his father is Eli.
Yep.
Junior.
Yeah, Junior. Yeah.
He hates Junior. Oh god.
The story does not get better for Eli at all. The day starts with that phone call and just keeps getting worse and worse, and it ends like the worst way possible, and it's awesome.
That's exactly what I was saying throughout the comic book. I was like, oh man, that sucks. Oh man, that just made it worse. Oh man, now what? Like it's crazy how it just starts with that phone call, just like Perry says, and it just goes down spiral from there.
It's nice to hear you say that. That is one of the things I wanted to accomplish with the first series is in crime and noir stories, one of the tropes is that basically the characters always make bad choices and make things worse constantly. So Eli in a lot of the first series might think he's doing the right thing. He's trying to do the right thing for his son, but he's stuck between his son and this gang that he's working for in Russia. He ends up working for the Rasplata Ritsari, who are one of the two crime gangs in Kapotnia, the most crime-ridden district of Moscow. So he's, as you say, he's a former NYPD detective. Now he's working for these Russian mobsters, and we don't really know why. All we know is that Eli totally hates his life there, but also owes his life to them. So whenever he chooses to protect Joseph, everything goes to hell. And like you say, that phone call, we don't waste any time. He immediately gets called to Nikolai Dubrovsky, who's the leader of the Rasplata Ritsari, who shows him this terrible thing's happened. I want you to investigate it. And from that point on, it's just like a slow descent into hell, really, for Eli.
Poor Eli. Eli's been through a lot from the beginning.
He has. Eli mightn't be the nicest guy, but he does have a hard time of it in Red Winter. And I did find myself as I was writing it thinking, do I sort of want to take this to its natural conclusion without spoiling anything? And in the end, I felt like that made the most sense for the story. This is the way it had to go.
Yeah.
And even I really liked writing Eli. He's a really good, grumpy, takes shitty noir protagonist. He's just grumpy and angry at the world. So that's kind of fun to write. So I really liked writing Eli, but I thought I have to take his story to the natural conclusion. And as I wrote more, I realized there's more in sort of the world of Capotnia that I can explore, and more with Joseph, and also new characters that I'm introducing in Fallout that we can take the story and make it a bit bigger.
That sounds really cool. I mean, while I was reading it, I was like, I had so many questions. I had so many questions about like what did Eli, how was Eli able to not get in trouble too much with the mafia, with both gangs, because of something prior history that he had with them? Like that was interesting as well. Like what did he do to actually be afforded to not die in those situations, in some of those situations?
That's a really good question. I really wanted to set that up in the first one, that you've sort of got Eli's existence in Moscow is tolerated by both sides of the gang. You've got Nikolai Dabrowski, who's the one he works for, but then you've also got Vasily Andropov, who's the leader of the Chishe Krovy, who's the other gang. And we find out in Red Winter that they have a past as well, and that's why like Andropov isn't just like shooting him in the face as soon as he sees him. So the fact then that Eli chooses to back his son just throws like the entire dynamic of the two gangs basically had a truce, and now that's gone as well. And Eli and his son Joseph, or Eli Jr., they get stuck in the middle. But that was an interesting thing to explore, is why would this ex New York detective, why would his existence be tolerated in Moscow? So there is definitely backstory there that should Red Winter Fallout go well and be everything I want it to be, I've pondered the idea of maybe doing some sort of prequel, going back to maybe do like a Red Winter NYC or something, so we see Eli's past.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
That would be awesome, because we do
That would be so awesome.
We get a small flashback where we see like a younger Eli and that Russian mafia boss, and we see them younger, which looks to be like they're in New York, and I'm like, oh, that could be really cool, seeing that grow into them going from New York and the whole process that led them to go back to Russia. Like I'm like, there's so much that you could do with this, and I'm like, oh man, like I do hope that Red Winter Fallout is awesome too. If you guys go to the Kickstarter link down below, there is a preview of Volume 1 that you could check out to see if you want to get interested in the book. I would recommend checking it out because it is a free preview, and free is a good word.
Free is definitely good. Yes, so you can read Red Winter issue 1 for free on the campaign page, and then we've got all sorts of different backer rewards, and I know Perry, you yourself have chosen a pretty interesting one. Which is awesome.
Yeah, so I'm not just talking about this book for the hell of it. I am an actual fan. I enjoyed reading this. I purchased the book in print, and I went ahead and I backed this Kickstarter because I do want to see it flourish, because I feel like this is my type of story, and I'm all in it. Now, Red Winter, the first one, Volume 1, I should say, started off as a Kickstarter as well. Now that was picked up by Scout. Like, how does a book go from here we are on Kickstarter to getting picked up by a pretty well-known independent publisher?
Well, it was it's really nice. It's really nice that it happened. So I ran the Kickstarter for issue 1. Basically, what happened was I had a pitch for issue 1 and some art done, and I was pitching it around to some publishers. A couple of different publishers showed interest, but they wouldn't commit to it until a full issue was done. So I thought, right, okay, so we had the full issue done, and then those publishers were still dragging their heels a bit. So I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to put this on Kickstarter, and I'll print the issue myself, and maybe that'll get, that'll show that there's an audience for it. And literally the day that Kickstarter ended, Scout emailed me to say that they wanted to publish it.
That's awesome, because, I mean, if you go to like Scout's homepage, their mission statement is they want to make books that appeal to like Hollywood. They're pretty piped in with the Hollywood network, and could I mean, I'm sure you would be through the roof if this were to get optioned and picked up for a movie or TV series.
Oh, definitely. there has been a little bit of talk. There's been a little bit of it,
Oh, here we go.
but not much more than talk as of yet. But I know I have signed sort of what they call a shopping agreement, which is where they can pitch it around to different studios and things like that, different people who would be interested. So it's one of those things where I'm just over here in Northern Ireland. I don't have any Hollywood connections, so I'm just hoping it goes well and sitting here waiting, hoping I get a nice email
Right.
every now and again. But I think out of all the comics that Scout publish, it would be one of sort of the easier ones to do as a TV show or a movie, because you don't have big special effects, any of that sort of stuff. And we all know, crime shows, crime movies especially, there's a pretty big built-in audience for that. And I believe in the story, I believe in the characters. I think it would be a really good TV show, but my main focus at the moment is the comic. I want to keep doing the comic and building that as much as I can. It's one of those things. It would be really, really nice if it happens, and I hope it does. But if I try not to concentrate on it too much, otherwise I'll just drive myself insane.
Yeah, TV shows are great. I mean, at least it's in the talks. At least they spoke about it. That's some good news. Imagine creating a book and someone is actually speaking of hey, we're trying to send it to other places just in case it gets picked up. So that was awesome. That's awesome.
And the fact that Scout, that's like one of their main focus. That's what they keep their eye out for, like properties that they could see. They would feel that Hollywood would be like, all right, let's give this one the green light. So I'm happy. Like I'm invested in Red Winter. If it were to get its heyday in a TV or in a movie, I'll be through the roof because this is an awesome story. I haven't read a story where I was able to picture a perfect Russian accent in my head as I'm reading. It is kind of crazy because I'm like reading this because sometimes I'll read out loud, sometimes I'll read in my head, and if I read out loud or read in my head, I'm like, I'm reading this book and I magically have a magical Russian accent. That's how well like these characters are written. Like, have you spent time in Russia? Like it seems like you have a pretty good knowledge of like this. I mean, this could almost be like a true story that somebody told to you. Like it feels like there's a lot of specific detail in this when it comes to like location and just how everybody moves and acts and talks. It's really cool.
Well, I can tell you, and I don't know whether this will disappoint you or not, I've never been to Russia. But what I did do was I did my research beforehand when I knew that I wanted to set it in Kapotnia specifically. So I researched the area and I researched specifically the organized crime and the drugs and basically the underbelly of the city.
Oh wow!
Because I wanted to make, like you say, I wanted to make it specifically Russian. It wouldn't make any sense to set the story in Russia and then just have it be like any other American crime story.
Sure.
Half the fun is that Eli is an American stuck in this place that's totally alien to him. And that's one of the funniest. Well, to myself, I thought my favorite bit of issue 1 is where he complains about the breakfast sausage that he has to eat every day, and then at the end, the woman offers him the breakfast sausage, and it's sort of. I remember reading that thinking, that's a good one. I hope people like that.
That was hilarious. I love the interaction. I love how they spoke about the American and how he's just like he's something different, and they have to go by him and see how he goes by things. But it's funny with that scene that you're talking about right now when he's sitting in the chair after being beaten up and he asks for the sausages and eggs.
And he doesn't even have the heart at that point to tell her, oh Christ, I hate that sauce. But he just says, okay, that would be lovely, Zlata, thank you. But with the good thing about him being an outsider as well is that then I can have Eli narrate as he's going about the city and telling you about the city. So he's the one that tells us about the Moscow oil refinery and the colony of homeless people that live under there, which is real. I did that research. Then whenever he goes to the really dingy apartment building, that's called a Khrushchevka. I think that's hard to pronounce. So I was able to research that as well, and that's where all the drug addicts and they were these apartment buildings that were built in sort of the Soviet Cold War era, and many of them have been knocked down, but some of them are still standing, and they're basically dilapidated because they were only ever built to last a certain amount of time. That was interesting. So I wanted to work in as much of the real life stuff as I could, and not have it be like a history lesson. It's just it's flavor for when Eli's walking around. He can tell you a bit about this thing, and then you get into his story. A lot of the feedback I've had is people really like that about the series.
Yeah.
So there is, again, in Red Winter Fallout, there's not. I don't think there's as much of it, but there is. You'll see different areas of the city, and we'll find out especially in the first series, the police aren't in it. It's all the criminals and Eli and Joseph. But the sequel, we bring in the Russian police, and now we'll find out about their practices. That plays into the story in a pretty big way, because there's someone from Eli's past that comes in to help Joseph in this bad situation, and that person has a history with the Russian police.
Oh snap!
Yeah. So we'll see that there's that person.
I'm
who's
trying to-
helping
I'm
Eli.
trying to-
all the
I was
characters.
just sitting there for a second. I was trying to think of any characters that could possibly come back. I don't know.
Yeah, if there's like a hint, because we don't know the mom too much.
That's true. We don't know anything about the mother, but she has a good relationship with Junior.
Yeah, definitely. Don't call him
I'm
Junior.
sorry, I don't call him Junior.
Well, Joseph made that pretty clear, didn't he? No, I still have a good relationship with Mom. I hate your guts.
Yeah,
Yep.
I hate you, Dad. You know.
And then he's like, she still hates you or something.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty funny.
We'll maybe see some of Joseph's mom, but there's this character that's from the past that has ties to the police. This person has ties to Eli's past, so they're going to help Joseph. But then we also have Max Voronin, who is the Russian detective who's basically been brought into the oil refinery to investigate what in the hell happened there.
Sure.
There's dead bodies littering the refinery. You've got both sides of the gang war are there. And then they've also got these unidentified bodies there that they don't know who they are, and they might be American. So if there's these American dead bodies there, what the hell happened here? So there's a little bit of a sort of a conspiracy thriller type angle there to Max Voronin's part of the story. And we know then that a corrupt former FBI agent in the first story, Charlie Abraham, basically the real FBI is going to want to keep quiet whatever she did. So there's going to be that sort of element to the story as well, which I think will be pretty interesting.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'm all in on this. Now, is this going to be another 4-issue miniseries?
Yes, yeah, this is going to be another 4-issue series, and down the line, it'll be published by Scout. But at the moment, we're running the Kickstarter to give sort of the people that have been fans like yourself, Perry. We want to make a bit of a special experience for fans initially for this Red Winter Fallout issue 1 special edition. So we're going to do that. We've got all these cool rewards on offer. There's travel mugs. There's the option to be drawn into the comic, which you've gone for. And then ideally, then this Kickstarter will help us fund the rest of the issues as well. And then down the line, like I say, it'll be published by Scout.
That's awesome. I can't wait. Like I literally can't wait. Like this, I'm excited for this. Is there like a time frame when we could see like the first issue hit like your local comic book shop? Is that something that we could see towards the end of this year or going sometime into next year?
Yeah, well, given the current situation and given how we're proceeding with the Kickstarter, I think issue 1, yes, it'll probably be towards the end of this year by the time it's coming out. So I think that's a good time frame to look at, but I don't know anything for sure as of yet.
Now,
sorry, but like I say, if you back the Kickstarter for Fallout issue 1, and you've never read the series at all, you can get the Red Winter Fallout issue 1 special edition and also the trade paperback for Red Winter in one go for $20, I think it is. So you can get the whole story right now.
Now, you've worked on some other projects. One that kind of stood out to me was something I'm not familiar with. I don't know if you could elaborate on this. Stan Lee's Lucky Man.
Yes.
What is this?
I'll explain. So, in the UK here, we have a channel called Sky One, which is sort of one of our main entertainment channels, and they made a show called Lucky Man, which starred a Northern Irish actor, which was cool for me because I'm also Northern Irish, called James Nesbitt, and it was about this detective Harry who had a bracelet that basically gave him powers of luck. So it was sort of a British cop show with a little bit of a supernatural magic element put into it. But the funny thing was, the show was co-created by Stan Lee.
Wow.
So I think it was one of the shows he created when he had his Kapow Entertainment Company. So that was nifty. And I was at the time, before I was writing the comic, I was writing a series called Transdimensional for T-Pub Comics in the UK.
Mhm.
Transdimensional is a sci-fi horror. And once we got done with that, then the editor of T-Pub asked me, did I want to co-write the Stan Lee's Lucky Man comic with him? And I said, yes, I do.
Yeah, sign me up.
So yeah, definitely. So we wrote that comic. The trade paperback, I've been told by TPub, should be coming out towards the end of this year. All the comic is finished. It's just with the current situation and printing, there's been a bit of a delay. So I think that'll be out within a few months. And it was a good fun experience because so far I've just been used to writing my own creations.
Sure.
Whereas with writing this, I was writing with a co-writer and also then having to write a licensed character, so everything had to go through the company. So that was an interesting experience.
That sounds awesome. I definitely want to check that. Is there a way I could get that digitally? Because I've never heard of Lucky Man, and I'm kind of interested in this.
I don't think TPub do digital comics, but
Okay.
maybe I could send you a PDF or two if I have one on the
that'd be awesome.
on the computer. Yeah, I'll see if I can dig out the issue 1 PDF.
Okay.
And I'll send that to you. Then, like I said, the other project I have is Transdimensional, which was a sci-fi horror, and we do have the trade paperback of that would be available.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
some sci-fi, some horror.
TK is the horror guy.
Mhm.
I'm just getting into horror. I just watched like Alien for the first time and The Thing, so I'm slowly getting into the horror genre.
It's funny that I was listening to the stream before I came on, and you were talking about The Thing. Basically, the two main influences for Transdimensional are Alien and The Thing.
What? That is awesome.
Wow,
Okay,
man.
I need to read this now. I need to read this
Yeah.
story.
So Transdimensional, it's about an underwater archaeologist named Deacon Price, who he's grieving. He's been broken by something in his life, and he charters this expedition to find a Russian submarine that's been missing for decades. They find this submarine, so he charters an expedition to go down to excavate it, basically. And he puts the team together. The team, which includes his ex-fiance, and they're a bit estranged. So she's not exactly happy about being forced to go on this mission with him, but she has to. And they go down to the Russian submarine. And from then on, without spoiling too much, let's just say there's parallel dimensions. There's terrifying doppelganger versions of themselves.
Wow.
Everything's claustrophobic and set in this submarine. It's a fun story, and I really liked it. That was funded on Kickstarter as well. We did the 4 Kickstarters for the 4 issues, and then the trade paperback.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, Kickstarter is an
That
awesome
sounds
tool.
creepy already. Can you imagine seeing yourself down there?
I can't. I get scared over anything. I couldn't imagine. Oh no, I don't even want to think about that.
That's creepy.
Yeah, well, it was my first, basically the first ever comic I wrote was Transdimensional issue 1, and that was a process of a couple of years, to get all the art funded and then get everything put together and then published by TPub, who are an indie publisher in the UK. So I basically learned everything I know about making comics from doing Transdimensional. And one thing I will say about it as well is, obviously, Transdimensional and Red Winter, they're completely different types of stories.
Sure.
And fittingly as well, they have completely different art styles. So the art for Transdimensional is a lot, it's not gritty and scratchy and dirty the way Red Winter would be. It's by a guy called Enrique Pereira, who's a Brazilian artist, and the coloring by Jan Wingard. So it looks more modern comics that you would see. I think Red Winter has kind of a throwback style.
It does have a throwback, like scratchy, darkness to it,
Which fits.
It fits perfectly.
It definitely fits with the whole story itself, the whole narrative of crime investigation and drugs.
Yeah, that's definitely what we were going for with Red Winter. So with Transdimensional, like I say, the art, it's hard to put it like it's prettier. It kind of is prettier, but it's also extremely gory and scary. So
it's pretty.
I'm very
scary.
proud of both. And I like how yeah, pretty scary, pretty horrifying.
Oh man! Now I do have a question. Were you like a comic book fan, or did you just wake up one day and say, you know what, I think I might do something like this? Or are you like I go to the comic book shop, I have a pull list, or I read books here and there?
Oh yeah, I'm a comic book fan for life. So have been since I was about 8, I think. And my favorite character has always been Batman.
He's a big Batman guy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I heard you on your stream earlier. You were saying, there's a few titles that never leave your pull list.
Yeah,
Batman,
yeah,
Yeah, Batman.
Batman and Batman are the only ones never leave my pull list as well.
yep.
So yeah, I've been a fan my whole life, and it just happened to be 2014, I think it was. My daughter was born, and I was taking some time off work then to be with her. And my wife said I'd always dabbled with writing, and I'd written short stories and I'd written articles for the internet and everything. And she says, "Well, now you can write a bit more." And I thought, "Oh, okay, we'll give that a go." And I started writing comic scripts, and it all sort of sprung from that.
So for the enjoyment of Red Winter I've been getting, I have to thank your daughter for this then.
You do, yes. You have to find. Do you want to know what her name is as well?
Oh,
Robin.
Oh, Robin.
Oh, shout out to Robin. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Robin with a Y, so I don't get in too much trouble basically after the character. But a lot of people think, especially over here, because she was born in December, they think it's to do with her being a Christmas name, like a Christmas Robin. Okay. And I just let them think that, but it's not.
Her secret identity is much deeper than that.
So yeah, you could say that. You have heard a thing for it.
We got Chaos and Comics saying who is on at the moment. We are on live with Michael Gordon. He is the writer and co-creator, I believe, of Red Winter, which is currently in a phase 2 with Red Winter Fallout and Kickstarter. The links are down below. This is a book published by Scout Comics, so I'm pretty sure you might have seen it because Chaos is a pretty big indie guy too. But yeah, no, if you guys haven't checked it out, the first issue is for free over on the Kickstarter page, so you can see if that's something you would like to dabble with. If you're definitely into criminal type books, very gritty gangsters, I would say, and like the real gangsters, the suit and tie, they got an army behind them type gangsters. This is definitely up your alley.
Yeah, I would always say if you like comics like Criminal or Scalped or 100 Bullets or Sin City, things like that, then Red Winter should be up your alley.
Yeah, those are definitely books you can compare to this one.
I would. One of my sort of dreams is eventually, if I'm able to do enough Red Winter that it could be favorably compared to comics like that. I mean, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And I've heard some people have said, they've likened it to Criminal. And that's just such a compliment because like Brie Baker and Sean Phillips, I basically worship at the altar of them and I read all their stuff. So that would be amazing if I could be spoken of in the same breath.
Well, I mean, I see it in the same bracket at least. That's a book of my enjoyment, which is why like I've wanted to have many guests to come on the morning show, but I mean, this is a book that I read twice. Like I don't read a lot of criminal books, so this is more or less my this popped my criminal book cherry in a way. So I thought this was like really cool, so I was like, who would be cool to have on to talk about this? And I'm just happy that you were able to make it. And it just, the time zones happen to work out perfect. I need to get more UK artists and writers to come on the show, because it seems like the time zone difference works perfectly for you guys.
It does, yeah. That no problem here. It's like I say, you guys are the ones that are up early. But yeah, I'm very happy to come on. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for backing the campaign and for getting it out to your audience. I hope some of them might be interested in checking it out as well. And like I say, they can get the whole story so far. So that's Red Winter 1-4 and Red Winter Fallout issue 1 in trade paperback, and then the printed issue 1. You can get that all for, I think it's $20. So that would be something maybe worth looking into.
Heck yeah. And once again, I'll let the links down below to the Scout Comics website, where you could get either in digital or in print shipped directly to you. So that's pretty cool. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this interview up. I do appreciate you very much coming on. I hope that Red Winter Fallout is a major success. I'm looking forward to reading it. I'm looking forward to being put in the comic book, because that seems like that blew my mind away.
No. Yeah, I've already been speaking to Alberto. So in issue 2, there's a big action scene set at one of the Soviet era flats where we've got Cheese J. Cruvy involved. We've got Joseph and this person that's helping him, and we've also got a whole raft of drug dealers that live in the building. So I'm sure we can find somewhere to fit you in there. So what would you rather be? Do you think would you rather be like a cop, a criminal, or a drug dealer?
Oh man, I could be like 6'9" and be all three. No.
Oh god.
I don't know. I want to say drug dealer, just because I've never played the part in real life.
Drug user.
Yeah.
No. So I'm fine with being like a Russian gangster, something like that. I don't mind. I could go up to drug dealer alley, something to show my kids. Be like, look at your father.
That's cool, right?
But any character, honestly, I think it would be awesome just to be put into a book that I actually enjoy. So that's something that I'm definitely going to be looking forward to.
Superb. I'm looking forward to getting them out as well, and I hope it goes as well as the first series.
Yeah. Michael, thank you for coming on, man. It was definitely a pleasure to meet you, actually, virtually, but just reading your books and then getting to talk to you and seeing your insight and hearing about how you came off and formulated this comic book, whether it's the locations, did your research, and really took it to the next level and actually fabricated and created your own story with these real life locations, real life situations that do happen. And thank you for the entertainment. And I'm definitely also looking forward to the next book. So I can't wait.
Thank you very much. That's lovely to hear. And thanks for having me on.
Okay. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Yeah. Oh, so that was pretty awesome, man. I actually just realized I have the picture of the comic. I threw it up on the screen. So if anyone who is not driving, because I know there are a few people who drive when they listen to the show. So make sure you have both hands on the wheel and you're looking. But if you're not driving and if you're at home or laying in bed watching this, because it's slightly a little early in the morning, I threw it the issue of Red Winter #1 up there on the cover. The link is down below, so definitely check it out. You could definitely read the first issue for free. I'm all in on Red Winter. This is a dope book. TK, you read what Red Winter? What'd you think of it?
Yeah, man, I thought it had an interesting beginning. It definitely took me by surprise with the phone call and then how things just escalated, but de-escalated at the same time, went all the way downhill. And it was cool to see the transition, to see there's a lot of mystery within the book itself. It's like a lot of questions I had, and it's always good to not answer all of them because it's more material, more ways that as well as what Michael was saying. He was like, hey, I could start a prelude, to start from the beginning and then figure things out. And it's crazy. It opened so many doors, and the story itself was just so driven with the whole dark, the whole spooky, the whole drugs, the whole gang fights, the wars, and then seeing the situation that they put in, the shitty situation, Eli and his son, is just, it was crazy. And it definitely left me like wanting more towards that. And I was like, oh man, what's next? What's gonna happen next?
That's kind of what I really like about like these indie 4-issue books that are so fast paced like this, because you get so much and it's almost like so quick. Like I don't have to invest 25 issues and get things dragged out a bit. It's like boom, 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 next issue, boom, 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 next issue, and then it's like, all right, it just finished. I want more now. Like it's like, all right, it left me feeling for more. Like I said, I put the money where the mouth is. I went behind. I backed the Kickstarter because this is something that I'm totally into, and the fact that Scout Comics, that's their whole mission, is to find properties that they think would be a good TV show, movie, or at least to get optioned. So I mean that'd be freaking bananas if like we hear in like 2025 Red Winter's option. You get that key collected notification to your phone, and you're like, oh shit, I got that book.
Oh man, I know the backstory. I know who Robin is.
Right?
You guys know.
You guys don't know about Robin. Like I know Robin. No, Robin is the reason why we have this book.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great story. That's cool to say. I wish I had like a crazy background story like that. I need to make my own comic book as well. Right, Perry?
There you go. You got to call it TK's Batcave, but with a K, so that way you don't get copyright.
Oh God.